Over the past couple of weeks or so, we've had a lot of good information coming out of Anthem's loot and progression system. It's actually really good, and it takes a lot of influence and ideas from Diablo's system, which of course we'll spend a good amount of time talking about today. But with the information that we've received, we've had a lot of question marks and really big concerns raised from the community that I do want to talk about in today's video. Giving my opinion when it matters, but also talking about what BioWare are going to be doing and why they're going the direction that they are. I don't mean to sound cryptic, but we'll get straight into today's video. My name is Ryan Central, and if you want more Anthem content and news, then do subscribe to the channel. Easiest way to keep up to date with everything, news, information, guides when it happens, but also exclusive and never before seen gameplay that I captured when I went over to Stockholm, which should be coming out fairly soon. Don't want to miss it? Then do subscribe, and don't be a bell, and hit the bell. God, that's terrible. I need to use that more often. Before I really get into the meat of this video, you need to watch these two Twitch clips that were taken from two separate developer live streams on the subject of getting specific loot from specific bosses or strongholds or missions.
Are there any loot drops that only come out of strongholds?
No. So the way the loot system works is it's loot tables, and then the harder the content you do, the higher chance you have of getting better loot.
The better loot table.
If you do like a stronghold on a really hard difficulty, you'll be getting really rare, epic, even masterwork and legendary gear.
Yep.
As opposed to if you were doing free play on easy, you're more likely to get the kind of lower rarity gear.
Yep. You want that masterwork, as you showed in the last stream, because it has a masterwork property on
That's
it.
right.
Which
Absolutely.
is awesome.
No.
By playing the game, there are loot tables, and the harder the content you play gives you higher chances of rarity amongst the loot tables. And those loot tables are kind of, if you're playing a ranger, you're more likely to get more ranger gear, or mostly ranger gear.
So in short, what this means is, for the strongholds and also the bosses in them, there's no specific loot that only drops from them. If you still don't understand, we then need to talk about World of Warcraft. Let's say, for example, you are playing a warrior in World of Warcraft and you want to get yourself a really nice two-handed sword that you want to get from running instances and dungeons. So what you do is you look online, you check which instances and raids drop those particular two-handed weapons that you like, and then you just keep running them again on a daily or weekly basis. You run the same instances, kill the same bosses because they're the only people that drop that loot. And this is very different for Anthem. If you want a sniper rifle, you don't need to go to this particular stronghold that we're watching in the background. You don't need to kill the boss at the end of it. He will drop random bits of stuff. And of course, a lot of people got really concerned and worried about it. Why should we use strongholds then? What is the point? People cried. No doubt some strongholds and raids will be easier than others, so effectively you just keep running the easiest content whilst ignoring the difficult or awkward strongholds. Let's say in 6 months time we've all played the game and we all know how to play this stronghold, but the community have agreed that it's an awful one because it's closed in, it's long, it's laborious and it's not fun, but because loot isn't set to this specific stronghold, people just don't do it. All of that content that BioWare created just doesn't get used because there's no reason for players to play that specific one. But I mean, that never really happened with Diablo, right? When you kill the Butcher at the end of Act 1 in Diablo 3, do you get the weapon that he has? Do you get any particular specific bits of gear that only the Butcher drops? No, never. At least I don't think so off the top of my head. He drops an assortment of different bits and pieces. Some of it might be useful, some of it might not. Depending on the difficulty you're playing on, depends on the rarity and the strength of the gear that you get. For example, you can kill the Butcher, which is the final boss in that area, and get 6 pieces of loot that are all crap. But in the start of that dungeon, you killed somebody and they dropped a legendary weapon. That's kinda how it's going to work here. And honestly, there is another really good explanation, and it has to do with difficulties. Let's say again that if you ran this stronghold that we're watching in the background and the boss dropped a specific sniper rifle that was really good, you would just go onto the easiest difficulty and just farm that stronghold over and over again until it dropped. But because Anthem works with different difficulties, it has to be used a little bit differently. It seems that the good thing about Anthem is that strongholds and raids, which are the step above strongholds but we don't know anything about them, the higher you go with that content, the better reward you get for it. Not in specific items as such, but in strength of abilities and rarities. Maybe they have higher gear level, and we know that they're more likely to drop much more rare items such as masterwork or even legendary bits of kit, just nothing specific. Here's a table I drew up just to sort of explain my point. If you're on the easy difficulty, you might only be able to get rare bits of kit when you do the Strongholds and Raids. Everything below that, you're more likely to get the common and uncommon items. There might not be any way to get epic or masterwork from playing on easy difficulty, or the rarity is going to be incredibly slim. However, if you move up to medium, hard, and then the Grandmaster difficulties, the chance of rarity goes up, because the difficulty goes up. This is Anthem's way of saying if you want better gear, then you need to accept the challenge that we're giving you by accepting high difficulties. So if you're doing random bits and pieces in free play on easy, the only things that might drop will be uncommon items. However, if you're in Grandmaster 3, you might just constantly get bits of uncommon, rare, or even epic items just running out and about doing the same exact missions and the same exact public events. The whole thing scales up, and that's why you're not seeing specific loot in particular strongholds, which does make a lot of sense now that you put it like that. So that's one of the main things that I wanted to clear up. However, if that still bums you out, that you want specific missions or strongholds to give you specific gear, then it's not all bad. Listen to this.
Separately to that, we have a challenge system. So you can think of it as what some other games kind of use achievements as like, but there might be a challenge to be like, hey, go kill the giant gorilla thing 10 times, and on the 10th time you get a specific reward. And so we're trying to work out exactly how we'll kind of mix those challenges into the rest of the game. But the primary thing will be there are loot tables, and then between crafting and challenges, there'll be some outs to chase certain things.
But what if a challenge was to do that stronghold that we're watching on the Grandmaster difficulty, killing the boss, do that challenge, you get that sniper rifle that you wanted. This is the only real clear-cut thing that we've seen from the devs when it comes to loot. Being able to go, oh, do this and you get this specific item. But even then, if me and you both did that same challenge, you might get a really good sniper rifle based on the fact that it has really good inscriptions, but mine might be terrible. Not only that, when it comes to loot, you have the RNG of rarity, you have the RNG of inscriptions, you have the RNG of even gear level in some cases, but also the RNG of just where is that gear going to drop. That's a lot of RNG. That is a lot of chances and luck coming into the fray where I think it shouldn't really be. I don't mind it in Destiny where you just, oh, I got a nice piece of gear here, that's cool. But Destiny also has certain ways of getting particular items such as Ace of Spades. You need to do a lot of little quests to get that final weapon. But now that we've gone over challenges and we know that there's going to be stuff like dailies and weeklies within Anthem, it just goes to highlight how important those systems need to be in place to make sure that players don't just go to the easiest strongholds on the higher difficulties such as Grandmaster 1, 2 and 3, just farm those over and over again to get the easy loot, whilst avoiding all of the more awkward and difficult strongholds that players don't like as much. Players will find the most efficient way to grind certain bits of gear to get the most gear and loot as possible, and they'll just keep doing that over and over again. So with the contract system, with the challenges, with the dailies, BioWare need to make sure the players are playing all form of content, and are incentivized to play certain strongholds and missions that they wouldn't play otherwise, because it's inefficient for grinding loot. Otherwise, players are just going to ignore a huge portion of Anthem's endgame content to just keep doing the easiest strongholds and raids over and over and over again, because it's much more efficient and meta, and that could be a really big issue for Anthem down the line if they're not careful. Like Ben Irving says at the very end of that clip, they need to work out exactly how this is going to work, but finding a good balance of RNG loot that drops from random stuff, whilst also effectively giving quest rewards that are specific items, is really important for Anthem. RNG was never really a problem for me with Diablo, but it also seems that Anthem has a lot more synergy components all working together for specific builds. I can tell you for sure that I'm definitely going to go back into playing Diablo a little bit more to work out how the system works, and if it can be integrated into Anthem very well. But again, do let me know what you think of all this. Do you think people are making a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to RNG with loot, no bosses dropping specific items? Did my explanation to you about the difficulty system, the scaling up, and the rarities scaling with it, did that help? But if you did enjoy this video, do like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you next time.